Good morning, and thanks for being here with us on Living Local Carolina. I'm your host, Jessica Grace. Another great show is headed your way to include high velocity entertainment, Elliott Middleton, and more. But first, let's take a look at the L.W. Paul Historical Farm. So happy to have Abigail with us today from L.W. Paul Living History Farm. How are you?
Doing well, thanks.
Good. I'm just excited to learn about what you all are doing there, so tell us about it.
Yeah, the L.W. Paul Living History Farm is actually part of the Horry County Museum, so we've kind of got a double site. Our downtown location is the Horry County Museum in downtown Conway, and then we've got a site just outside of town there that is a living history farm, which means that we recreate life in Horry County from about 1900 to 1955. And everything we do there is to replicate the activities that would have taken place there at that time.
That is so cool. I love that. I love, what you're saying in regards to recreating the experience. So kind of dive into that a little bit. What does that look like?
Absolutely, yeah. Well, you can always read history from a book or hear about it from others, but what we try to do is to bring that to life. So we grow a demonstration-sized crop of pretty much everything you'd find on a typical farm about 100 years ago. And here in Horry County, that means a lot of emphasis on tobacco. So we do have a demonstration tobacco crop that we're growing right now. We also have a set of buildings, and they're all reconstructed to look like they're 100 years old and what you would have seen back then. So we've got everything from a grist mill to a blacksmith, a farmhouse, of course, a tobacco barn, and even a church.
That's cool. So you were telling me earlier that you actually prepare meals from those days. Like, what kind of meals do you prepare?
Yeah, that takes up a lot of my role. I'm the domestic interpreter there, so I spend a lot of time in that farmhouse, and I'm cooking meals with pretty basic ingredients, and some of the southern foods that we love today still have their roots about 100 years ago. So lots of biscuits, sometimes fried chicken, a lot of okra and squash and tomatoes straight out of the farm garden. And this time of year, I'm doing a lot of canning too. In the middle of summer, there's a lot of preserving to be done because we represent an era that wouldn't have had access to a lot of electricity. So that means no refrigerators.
Wow. So are you actually showing the guests how to do this as well, or what is that like with the guest interaction?
Absolutely. So as people are walking through the farm, they can come across any station that myself or my coworker are at, and we'll be showing them those demonstrations. So if they happen to catch me while I'm canning, they'll get a lesson in how to can.
Yeah.
That is not completely hands-on, that aspect, but they do get to see it. And there are things across the farm that they do get to experience hands-on, especially things in the garden and other areas across the site.
Wow. So the hands-on experience, I'm sure, just really sets it on fire for, people to really enjoy. It sets the whole experience up. Tell us about some of those hands-on experiences.
Absolutely. So when people are coming through the garden, for example, we can show them all that goes into the gardening. We've had kids help water. We've had kids help sweep the yard, which is basically keeping the yard clean from any debris or anything like that. And they help with pumping water on the porch. Again, no running water. So there's lots of things, lots of ways to get involved. And even when it's not hands-on, it's multisensory. So whether people are just watching what we're doing, they're often smelling it too and hearing it and feeling all that there is around them. Interesting.
So when it comes to, those who are thinking about coming to the farm, why would you encourage them to come and visit?
It gives such a great perspective about where we are today and who we are today. Horry County has grown so much in the last couple years, and it looks like it's going to keep on growing, which is great. But it's always important to remember where we've come from, and only 100 years ago that looked drastically different than where we are today. So to remember our agricultural roots, I think, is really special, and it's also inspiring too. It might inspire someone to start gardening or canning or take on those other aspects of an older lifestyle.
Great. Well, thank you so much for stopping by.
You're welcome. It was a pleasure.
Melinda's Med Spa is after this.